Hello, everyone. Chapter 14 of Rudolf Steiner's Philosophy of Freedom is called The Individual and Type. The chapter compares the free individual with the group member. Steiner describes a free individuality in Chapter 14. By referring to Chapter 14, we can explore the question, am I a free individuality? We were all given a group identity at birth, and as we develop, we form a unique individual identity. Group identity is a person's sense of who they are based on their group membership. Our group identity is formed according to our race, ethnicity, gender, family, folk culture, state, and church. Individual identity is a person's sense of who they are based on their uniqueness as an individuality. We develop an individual identity as we begin to think and act in our own way. Without a strong individual identity, we may suffer from low self-esteem and a poor self-image. Group members look to the group to raise their self-esteem and improve their self-image. But this depends on the status of the group. When the status of the group increases, the self-image of the members also increases. So group members will be inclined to enhance the status of their group and lower the status of other groups. This gives us gender wars, political deadlock, and religious conflict. The world divides into them and us. Becoming a free individuality will increase our self-image without this kind of group divisiveness. The individual gains self-respect through independent thinking and learning to be true to himself. The individual gains confidence by developing skills and accomplishing the task he sets for himself. Are you a free individuality? Let's look at 12 points found in Chapter 14 that describe a free individuality. 1. Group member conformity. To understand a group member, we simply refer to the group type. The loyal member conforms to the group stereotype and criticizes others in the group who do not conform. If we ask why a particular thing about a person is like this or like that, we are directed away from the individual person and toward his group type. The type is used to explain why something in the individual appears in the form we observe. 2. Free expression of the individual. The individual does not allow himself to be restricted by his group characteristics. Instead, he expresses his unique individuality through his group characteristics. An individual develops his own traits and roles for reasons that can only be found in himself. What is typical in him serves only as a medium in which to express his own individuality. 3. Individual abilities and inclinations. Each of us has a special set of skills and abilities. Positions in society should be given to individuals who qualify according to their acquired skills and desire to do the work. A person's race or gender does not disqualify or qualify a person for a job. Positions in society are not always given according to a person's individual set of characteristics. Our activity in life should be determined by our individual abilities and inclinations. 4. Allow the individual to judge their own nature. Each individual should be allowed to judge for themselves the gender they identify with. So long as people debate what the natural disposition of a man and woman are, no progress will be made on gender issues. What lies in a person's nature must be left for each person to judge. We must be allowed to decide for ourselves what is and what is not appropriate to our nature. 5. The unique character of the single individual. You will not learn anything about the individual in university, ethnic, women, or gender study programs. Each individual is different and does not conform to a group type. The characteristics of race, ethnicity, nation, and gender are the subjects of specific branches of study. Only people who wish to live as nothing more than an example of a type could possibly fit the general picture that emerges from this kind of academic study. None of these branches of study are able to reach the unique character of the single individual. 6. Individual concepts and ideas. Groups are held together by submitting to common beliefs and principles. Groupthink is the lack of creativity that results from remaining in the box of group concepts and ideas for the sake of group harmony. An individual thinks independently, according to his own concepts and ideas. No one can establish humanity's conceptual content once and for all and hand it over in a finished form. Each individual must gain his concepts through his own intuition. 7. Individual concrete goals. The concrete goals of the free individual originate in the innermost core of his being. General human traits are not an indication of what concrete goals an individual will choose to pursue. To understand the single individuality, we must find a way to the innermost core of his particular being, and not stop short at the level of typical characteristics. 8. The individual's way of viewing the world. To understand an individual, we have to ask him how he views the world, and we need to observe how he acts. Every kind of abstract study of general concepts of the type is only a preparation for the knowledge we gain when an individuality tells us his way of viewing the world. And it is a preparation for the knowledge we gain from the content of his acts of will. 9. The free individuality defines himself. An individual frees himself from groupthink and conditioned behavior. The free individuality defines himself. If we define him according to a group stereotype, we will not understand him. To understand a free individuality, we must receive into our mind those concepts by which he defines himself in their pure form, without mixing in our own conceptual content. 10. The individual gradually frees himself from the community. An individual becomes a free spirit by gradually freeing himself from the stereotypical thought and conformist behavior of the community. A person is a free spirit within a community only to the degree that he has emancipated himself from the characteristic traits of his type. 11. Only free individuals have ethical deeds. Our action is not our action if we are merely imitating others or are obeying someone's commands. For an action to be ethical, it needs to be an expression of our own individual values, not the values of someone else. In the part of his nature where he is unable to win this freedom, he lives by imitating others or by obeying their commands. Only the part of his conduct that springs from his intuitions has ethical value in the true sense. 12. Only free individuals contribute to the moral life of humanity. The source of humanity's moral life is not a transcendent God. The source of morality is the free individual who creatively forms his own ethical ideas and gradually realizes them in practical life. All moral activity of humanity has its source in individual ethical intuitions. The moral life of humanity is the sum total of what free individuals have produced through their moral imagination.